Hi and welcome to 3D Print Tech Design. Today we are unboxing and setting up this, the Weedo X40. It's an IDEX machine that is launching on Kickstarter, so this is a pre-production sample. But I'm really interested to see how this budget IDEX machine handles. So let's check it out. So this is a pretty big box, but that's all because it's pre-assembled. Okay, so we have some protecting covering. Whoa, we're already inside. I don't know how much you can see, but that's it. We have two small spools of filament. So let's put those to the side for now. We have a pretty big accessory box. Looks something like that. And let's check out here. You can see with the camera that we have some foam protection everywhere. So let's get rid of that. Wow, this looks really good. This is actually a lot assembled already. It looks like it's almost 4 screws and that's it. So let's see, does this move? Yeah, this moves. Wow, check this out. Isn't that cool? That is 2 extruders. Oh, and it even has a probing. Wow. Oh, and it looks to have Bowden extruders as well. This is really interesting. IDEX 1.75mm. Okay, so let's put this to the side. And we should have the base in here. The base. There's a lot of foam in here. This is pretty big actually. I did not expect the size of this. So let's see, we have some papers. Let's save those. Might need them for assembly. And this is the rest. Okay, so there's nothing left in the box. Let me just reorganize a little bit so we can assemble it. Okay, so this is really big. So this actually has a printing volume of 300 by 300 by 400 millimeters, which is pretty big for being a IDEX machine. And speaking of IDEX, that means that it has 2 individual extruders that can move individually. Now I think the stuff are locked down here, so before we do too much, we should probably fix that. It looks like it might be a little bit wiggly. We'll have to look at that later because it's only 4 screws going up from below here. Other than that, things are really neatly organized here with the cable ties and all the cables that goes into your machine later on. So I think that what we should do first is to check out the accessory box. So in here we get USB cable, 2 filament spool holders or rollers or whatever you want to call that. We get 2 brackets to hold the filament spools, some other small brackets. And this is pretty interesting. We get a camera module, so let's check out that later as well. But we get a web camera, so this machine can actually record or you can access this via Wi-Fi and check out how everything's going, which is really neat that it has a built-in camera. See, we get a funny little hobby knife and also a non-sharpened, oh, it is actually sharpened, a sharpened spatula to remove prints. Screws and bolts. Well, this is definitely more than 4 screws, but I guess that's somewhere for accessories. Get some glues for the build plate. It looks like I'm not sure if this is Build-Tack, but it's like an aluminium, some sort of metal plate on top of the heating bed. So yeah, we'll have to see how that all works out. And we get a power cable, which is the wrong type for my country, but that's easily fixed. So let's keep the screws and put everything else back into the box. Okay, so we have these 4 brake screws that we are going to use. Let me just grab some tools and let's get this assembled. Okay, so I lied a little bit. It's actually 4 screws from below, but you have these brackets that help stabilize it a little bit. It's still quite small, but that should help with any like wiggling of the Z-axis. I guess that all we have to do is to put the machine on top of here, move some of the cables, get it into position. Okay, so there's some cable here in the way. There we go. I think it's starting to get in. So let's use this tool. Okay, let's take the other side because I can actually see this side. Okay, so it's now starting to get there. So let's fix this side and then I'm just gonna skip this step so you don't have to see all my miserable assembly. Okay, so I got the 4 screws in. It's actually really stable right now, but we have these brackets. I thought they were for something else, but they're actually for mounting here on the side. So as you can see, I prepped them. I put all the screws in and profile nuts on the back side, and this is usually how I do it. So I basically try to get them in, something like that, and then I hand tighten them with the bit, just to kind of get them more or less into place, and then you can start to tighten them more. So this is pretty neat. It's going to help with some sort of stability. But I mean, to say that it's only 4 screws, I think that's a little bit of a lie, because as you can see, we kind of do need to do a little bit more. I don't think it's the worst lie that has ever happened to a 3D printer, but yeah, sure, it's it's a few more screws. Something like that, and let's just do the other side as well. Alright, so all the screws are in, all the brackets are done. Now I think I should mention that there were a few more things extra inside of the box, the accessory box. One of those are this web camera, which I think is really cool. So you kind of mount it here with a cable is on this side, and yeah, then you can check out your prints via Wi-Fi and via the system as well. So before we do that, there were also an extra end stop, which is really nice because sometimes you break these, and to include it in already is that's a nice bonus. And of course we have the filaments holders. So yeah, maybe we should just get those up as well. Something like that for now. But what I really want to show is that we have a few connectors to fix. So I'm gonna move this around a little bit, and then we can cut this yellow band. And we have all the cables up to the extruder, but we also have to this motor. So let's just plug that in. And these cables should go. Let's see if they are twisted or not. It doesn't seem like they are. These are like the old floppy drives that you used to have. There we go, click, and come on, click. There was a click, small one. So that's all the cables, so that's pretty neat. So while we're at it, let's do the other side. Cut the yellow band, throw it away. So that's the other C motor, or Z. And then we have the cable tie. Align it, and click it, click it. There we go. Now we can remove these ones as well. Make sure you don't cut the actual belt. That would be a bit embarrassing. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm cutting those two yellow. It's good that they put yellow so it's easily visible. There we go. Now we can mount the camera. So we mount that over here. Let me spin the table around so you can see. That's the good thing about having a portable table like this. Let's see, you should be able to see something like this. So now we can tighten this, get the camera in place, something like that, and of course plug that in. But basically, here you have it, the IDEX system. So each extruder can move separately from each other, which means that they can go out and clean themselves. This looks really cool. I think that's all. Maybe there's something we need to do with the symmetry here. We need to get that fixed, but it looks like all the cables are done. I'm not exactly sure how to organize these, but maybe they're just supposed to be kind of like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna fix some of these small things like cables and making sure that these are straight, and then we'll do the first power up and see how that looks. Alright, so I already did a power up. I accidentally forgot to turn on one of the cameras, so the only difference that happened the first time compared to what's probably gonna happen now is that we saw on language screen. So yeah, so other than that, I guess we have to power it on again. So let's go ahead and power on the PSU. So that is the power supply. So this machine actually has 2 power buttons. One for the power supply and one for the actual like motherboard and all that. Okay, so let's start it. Weedo. Alright, so it's actually doing a test right now. So it's posting, it's moving all and homing all the axes. So it's doing a checklist here. Left nozzle heating. Okay, so cool. So it actually checks that it can do all of these things, or at least get some info from the sensors. You can click skip, and you can also turn this off at the main menu if you don't want to. But I think it's a pretty good thing. I mean, you have to kind of remember to not have any prints left on the bed before you actually do this. But still. Okay, so that's it. Now we're in the system. So we have a few options. We of course can print, we have maintenance, we have settings, and we have help. So at the top you can see the Weedo logo. We have left extruder, right extruder temperatures. So 40 degrees right now. So it did a heating test when it posted, which is pretty interesting. It's a good way of checking, I guess, that everything works. Heating bed is 27 degrees and yeah, the Wi-Fi is off. I have not set that up yet. Alright, so if we check during print, okay, so we can print via TF flash card. That's the memory card on this side at least. We can also print via Wi-Fi. So if we just look at the card inside, so okay, we don't get a lot of information. It's not the best way of navigating your prints, but I guess it works. If we were to print like a sample here, select the fish. Okay, so when we click on something, we can actually see the settings. We can't see extruder is chosen, but we can see print time, layer thickness, material type, and the weight of it, and infill percentage. That's pretty cool actually. Let's go back. Let's check at maintenance. We can load filaments on right or on left extruder. We can also do a preheat, of course. What else do we have? We have jog mode. Ooh, that's that's a lot of numbers. So we can move axis. Only one at a time. Okay, what else can we do? We can do the level bed, so we're going to do that in a second. We can set up the C offsets. Oh, I was clicking on that. We have the probe, so I kind of want to see how, if it does anything now. Okay, so it's homing. Okay, so that was a little bit off. Okay, so now it's probing the whole bed, I guess. Ah, okay, so it's actually meshing the bed right now. That's pretty cool. Alright, so now we can do a fine-tunement here. So if you want to get a print really good, you use a paper. And let's see, we get that under the nozzle. So if you move down the axis, so you want to kind of feel that it's gripping the paper. There, I can kind of feel that it's actually gripping the paper. And then I'm actually going to back up one step. So we got this is a pretty thin paper. Okay, so that's good. If we save that, I guess we have calibrated the bed. That was just the C offsets. We can still do a calibration where we use the actual knobs as well. So I think we should go ahead and do that as well. Alright, so before we do a bed leveling, I'm not expecting anything difficult. It's just 4 knobs that you twist. Let's just check out what else we can do here. We can do a proximity height, which is this sensor here. We can do a nozzle offset, so this is when you start to calibrate the dual extrusions, and I don't think we need to do that right now. I want to do a print at first and see if it's factory calibrated. We can turn the motors off. Okay, so that's basically it. Before we do the bed leveling, which is pretty boring, let's check out settings. We have Wi-Fi settings, language settings, machine info. Okay, here we have a few things. We have auto power off. So it's that the machine powers off, at least the main board, not the actual power supply. Runout sensor is for the filaments. So, okay, we have 2 sensors here. I want to keep that on. I want to try that out and see. We also have the post, and this is what I was talking about when the machine does all of these maneuvers at the start. If you have a power outage, or if you forget that you had something turned on and you turn on the machine, that part might crash into the machine. So be a little bit careful if you want to keep that on. I'm going to keep it on for now. What else do we have? We have power save mode. Okay, so it can auto power off if you don't do anything with the machine. You can update it, of course, via Wi-Fi, and then you can reset the parameters, which we don't want to do as well. Okay, so let's do a quick level. Level the bed, prepare paper, and begin. Okay, so let's begin. So I'm probably going to speed this up because this is, if nothing difficult happens, this is a really normal leveling. Okay, so it's doing a lot of movements here. Is this necessary, moving this far up? I guess this is a pre-launch machine, so I guess there are some firmware updates that they can do, and this is one that I suggest that the leveling is a bit quicker. Is it going to go all the way up? Oh, okay, it actually squared itself out. Ah, that's pretty interesting. Since it has 2 axis screws, 2 C screws, if the x-axis is a bit off, this is the way that it can square that up. That's pretty interesting. All right, let's speed it up while it goes down. If nothing else, this is a good way to lubricate the rod. So you put some grease and it will grease all the way up and down. Okay, so now it's asking me to do the actual leveling. So basically a thickness of a paper. There I can feel some resistance. So I'm gonna call that one good. Let's go to the next one. That was good already. I did do a small leveling the first time, so if nothing else, these screws are really easy to use. I have had a few 3D printers with very difficult screws, but this is really quick and easy to twist when you need to do the adjustments. There we go, we got some friction. And last one. Okay, some friction. All right, so it is testing. Okay, I think it's gonna do the geometry again, so let's speed that up. Okay, so we actually get some test results. That's pretty neat. So the test data is for reference only. The auto bed leveling can compensate for flatness errors. That's nice. So it is, it's not perfectly flat, but it's gonna adjust for that, which is nice. Okay, so yeah, what else can we do? I guess what we can do is actually load some filament. So to do that, we'll take one spool. So this is the included filament. Let's cut away a little bit. A little piece, and if we go to settings, nope. If we go to maintenance, filament feed, some pre-selections, PLA, ABS, TPU, other filaments. So let's go with, what is this? I'm guessing it's PLA. It doesn't say, but I'm gonna go ahead with PLA. So it's asking me left or right, so let's go with left one first. It's really quiet actually. So the power supply has a small fan noise, but the drivers, the steppers are really, really quiet. So these are actually used in the TMC2208 drivers for the stepper, so it's actually really quiet. Now it's heating up, so I better prepare. I'm gonna put the filament spool up here, drag it down to the Bowden extruder, and kind of just, well, we do have a little switch here. Oh, that's neat. Oops, I moved the machine. That wasn't the plan. I pushed it down. So now it's actually feeding. So it's gonna go through the Bowden and everything. So wait a minute, you're not moving all the way? Okay. Maybe I have to move the rest then. So that's probably something that they can fix, because it didn't feed all the way through, so maybe that's a firmware update. But it has extruded a little bit. I can see that they printed with black filament. So there we go, we are pushing out filaments. Now the white filament is in. It looked like it was pretty well done. So all we have to do now is to start the print and see how it works. Okay, so for first print, I'm just gonna go with something that is loaded on the card. I won't leave you with only that. There's gonna be a second print as well that I've done myself. So let's start off with what's already loaded on the card. So print card, and for example, the fish here. I think that's a good one to really check the two colors and make sure that we print with dual color. So yeah, we can see that should be about 1 hour, and yeah, let's click print, and I'm gonna leave you with a time lapse. But basically it's homing before print. It's gonna heat up the extruders, and yeah, let's catch on after print. Okay, so there we have it. Let's check out the first print. Let's carefully get that off. So you see there's like this, what's that called? Like a printing wall to help with the heat and everything. And I guess also work as a primer, so it primes the nozzle. That's why it's like pink, because you have white and red, red and white, red and white. Guessing all we have to do really is to tear that off first. Remove the rafts. Let's not do that without gloves. Yeah, so that's the fish. That's pretty cool. I mean, the quality is really nice. It could be a little bit closer on the raft, but I guess if we print without raft, we're not gonna have to worry about that. But that actually looks really cool, and it's dual extrusion. Obviously, we have to do a 3D print ourselves. So I'm opening up the Weedo X, which is the software that's included. And you can see I've taken the 3D Benchy dual color version. And yeah, it's this software. I'll go through it in a review, so make sure you subscribe for that. But basically, you merge a model, and then you can set up some printing settings if you want to. You have all the profiles and advanced settings, and yeah, you can do a lot of things if you want to. But you don't have to adjust all these settings, but you can. I think it's basically a Cura in like below. So yeah, you have different modes. You can check out the overhangs and materials, and yeah, you have this material editor where you select which parts that's supposed to go in which extruder. So it's pretty easy. It's not Cura easy, but it's good enough. And slicing is fast. Here are the layers. You can see there's a raft and all that. You can go through the layers up and down, and yeah, and down and up. And then you can check each layer as well. But that's basically all you need to do. So yeah, with this, we're just gonna send it to the printer and check it out. Okay, so this print actually came out really nice. It's dual color. This is actually a dynamic model, so you can play around with it. I don't know if you call it dynamic, but it's a hinge model. But as I promised you, I also did this second print, as you saw in the time lapse. And it's a 3D Benchy. It's a dual color Benchy. Yeah, I have to say it looks superb. There's maybe 1 degree too much in the temperature, or maybe 2. You can see some small blobs somewhere on this model, especially if we do some close-ups. But basically it's a really good looking 3D model, and so I'm super excited to take this machine through its journey during the review. And if you have any models that you want me to try it out with, make sure you comment down below and I'll try to. But yeah, looking at this model, it's really doing a good job of what an IDEX system is supposed to do, and that is to keep the material separated from each other, so you don't have any red on the white and you don't have any white on the red. So it's gonna be super excited. I even bought myself some PVA, so we're gonna print some PVA prints, so with supports in one extruder and plastic in another one, and we got a bunch of different copolyesters and PET materials and things to push through this machine. So make sure you subscribe so you can see when the review comes out. Make sure you ring that little bell. It really helps you to actually see the video. YouTube doesn't always recommend the videos for you, so make sure you ring that bell. And if you want to check out this machine and read up on the specifications, check out their Kickstarter, you can do that below. And yes, this is a Kickstarter machine, so if you order one, you have to be prepared that maybe it's a long delivery time, maybe the prices will be lower in the future or higher in the future. There's some risk involved with backing a Kickstarter project, but what I've seen so far in the first 2 prints, it's actually looking really good. Stay tuned for the review, and make sure you like, subscribe, share this with anyone that's looking for an IDEX dual extruder machine. Maybe this is a machine for them. And with that said, if you have any questions, make sure you leave them down below and I'll try to answer them. And I guess that's all for the outro. Make sure you check out the Weedo X40, and I'll see you guys in another 3D printing video. Bye!